All right, when you own a home that comes with a pool, there's always a lot of maintenance. So one good thing about a pool is it makes the wife happy, and when the wife's happy, everybody in the house is happy. So once a year we got to tear apart this pool filter and clean it, and today seems like a good day to do it. I'm gonna turn the pool pump on. You see this needle right here? See, watch where it goes. So normally you want that around straight up, but it's pointing to the right a little bit, and you don't want that to show too much pressure. So let me turn that back off. So as this thing runs more and more, and it runs, several hours a day, that needle goes further and further to the right, but you don't want too much pressure to build up in this thing. So over the course of the next hour or so, I'm going to tear this whole thing apart. This thing comes with a pressure release valve back here. I don't know if you guys can hear that. You hear the air coming out of it? So here's my plan. I'm going to let all the air out of that. I'm going to come down here and find out what wrench fits this thing, and I'm going to loosen that up. And then I'm going to take these couplings off right here, and I'm going to take the top off. And once I take the top off, it'll expose all the filters. I'll check them for integrity, make sure there's no tears or rips in them. And then I'm going to bring them around to the deck where we'll inspect everything, and then we'll clean everything with a water hose. Because I guarantee you there's like caked up diatomaceous earth all over the filters that has to be cleaned once a year, and we might as well do it now while nobody's swimming. So that's kind of where we stand right now. Let me go find out what size wrench fits this thing, and we'll get started. Okay, very important lesson learned. Don't work with small metal parts over a deck that has slits in it. Otherwise, you'll spend 30 minutes going and digging a long screwdriver and magnetic retrieval tools. But anyway, that's another story. Let's move on. Take a big deep breath. Okay, so this is a 9/16 bolt nut, and these are the parts that went around this thing right here. Okay, it's gonna fall on. I'm gonna have to get a better work area. And then that was taken off, and then the top just came right off. This is the top, and as you can tell, it has a rubber seal around it that we're gonna have to put back on. And let's go take a look at what's inside. It's really full of gunk. It's diatomaceous earth that's collected over the whole year. So all this needs to be taken out, and see how I've disconnected. These things are now disconnected, and I'll take this bolt out, which will lift this whole thing up. I'll put some gloves on and we'll pull this out, and then I'll get a water hose with a sprayer and we'll clean up these filters really good. And then I'll just remove this whole bottom part and I'll clean it out too. So that's kind of where we stand. Cleaning the yearly cleaning of the, I think it's a Hayward, something like that. Pool filter has to be done once a year. You can see how messy it is. My goodness, is it messy, right? All right, we'll get it all cleaned up and show you how it looks when it gets cleaned up. All right, on the way carrying it over here, I was going to show you guys what it all looks like when it's formulated around this contraption here. But on the way carrying it over here, it was just too heavy and it all kind of fell apart. So I missed that opportunity. But when I put it all back together, I'll show you that way. But as you can tell, everything's been disassembled. And it's really, really dirty. I hope when it fell apart, it didn't rip any of the filters. Those things cost money. You can get them on, from the pool store or whatever. And then this contraption is what goes on top. I think that was a 1/2-inch nut on top. So we're gonna clean the heck out. This is where it takes a little time, but it's easy. You just sit here and clean everything really, really good. And you look for any rips or tears in your filters. And then you have to figure out how to get everything back on that contraption. If I remember, that wasn't the easiest thing in the world, but we'll figure it out, and then we'll show a video on that once we get to that point. But I'm gonna turn the camera off, get my water hose out, and we're gonna clean up these really, really good. All right, I spent a few minutes with my trusty water sprayer trying to clean up all the parts and get all the gunk and the goo. There's 8 of these things, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Notice how this one is a little bit smaller than the rest. And if I'd been thinking, I would have taken a picture before I pulled them all apart. I think I might have one from last year, but this is the rubber gasket that goes on top of this thing. I tried to clean that thing out real good too, but that rubber gasket goes right around here with a bunch of silicone stuff that's made specifically for that. If you have to order these filters, that's the part number. I had to order a whole set a year or two ago. So what's it a Unicell FG1005. And then notice how this small one here, it's a little bit different. It's a Unicell FG1905, whereas this is 1005. So 7 of them are the same, and then you got that small one. But once you get them cleaned up, the next step is to put it all back together on that thing, and to put that thing back on that thing, and then to put that rubber gasket around the rim with all the goo. Put this on, or put that on top and bolt it down, and then put that on top and clamp it down. So it's anyway, I'm going to get started on that. We'll try to document it as we go along. I got to go find my goo. I don't remember where my tube of silicone goo is that's required for this rubber gasket right here, but we'll figure it out. At least everything's clean now, and we're going to be ready for the swimming season next year. You can't have that diatomaceous earth build up, right? So you take your water hose and you look. I didn't see any rips, by the way. I did not see any rips. That's a good sign. That means I don't got to buy no new filter. So anyway, you guys get the picture. It ain't rocket scientist. Just clean them up real good and put it all back together. But let me go spend the next 30 minutes to an hour looking for silicone gel, and everything's closed today since it's a holiday. So if I can't find it, I may have to order some. Anyway, that's all we got for right now. All right. Well, we did find my old, what do you call these things anyway? Tubes? My old tubes of magic lube. Tube of magic lube. And anyway, I'll try to use the ones that I've already partially used and use them all up, but that's what goes on this rubber thing. So at least I do have it, and we'll go on to the next step. All right, I found something that's going to be pretty helpful, I think, since I can't find my picture from last year and I didn't take a picture this time. If you come and look at this, it says short element here. So when I go about putting these pieces back and lining them up on the bottom and matching them to the holes on the top, you guys see there's holes up underneath there that has to match in these things. Oh, those things right there, they have to come up and go in these holes. And since that's a short element here, that gives me a pretty good idea of where the short element goes. I was kind of concerned. All right, putting this thing back together is enough to make you want to say a few cuss words. So put this thing upside down. As you can tell, the bottom part is upside down. And start with the short one. In this case, the short one is right here, as you can tell. And just start putting them in there. I got some bungee cord so that when I get it all done, I'll bungee tie it so it doesn't fall apart. And just turn them upside down. Let me see if I can give you an example of how that works. But yeah, it's a real pain in the neck, man. I forgot how difficult this thing is, but what you do, you take one of these, right, and you get your hose. I don't know if you guys see that, and you look down in there, and you match it up. There you go. So that fit in there perfect. And you start with the small one, you work your way around. This is the last one. Let's see if I can work it in there. There we go. Perfect. So everything is in the right place, in the right hole, take some bungee cord, hold it all together, and then what I think you want to do is you want to put this thing on top of that. So let's try to do that. And you don't want it to fall apart. So probably be better to have two people, but all right. All right, and you want this to go right up the center. Oh, everything fell apart. Okay, got to start all over. All right, rather than start over, I tried to put this thing back on. Let's see if I can. Really would be better to have two people, but if I can get all the, let me guys bring the camera up close, show you guys what I'm doing, because I don't think you guys have a appreciation for what's going on here. You see, there's 8 of these things, and they're not lining up. All 8 of them got to line up in order for this thing to drop down. Right there, right there, right there in the shade. These 2 are kind of on already. Right there. All right, well, I don't know what to say about putting this filter back together, except to say, and magic happened. It's the biggest.
How many points?
How much time?
There's 56 points of connection that have to be in place.
Has to be completely flat on the bottom, completely fit on the top. Everything has to line up just perfectly, and I would say we spent over a good hour. Now, I'm sure there's more experienced people that got like some kind of technique, but for the regular average Joe that tries to put one of these together, I can say that it's probably the most frustrating thing I've done
in my life.
I don't know about my life, but it's been one of the most frustrating things I've done in a long time. So we're going to continue to put the filter back together. We put the magic lube all around. As you can see, Aaron's putting the black gasket tube rubber thingy, and then we're going to fit the I'm tripping over everything. We're going to put that back on top. We're going to put that clamp on, and then we're going to move it back in place and hook the pipes up. But getting those filters, those 8 filters in place, oh my gosh, it's insanity. Insanity. No, we got to put more magic lube on. Take that back off. We'll finish up here in a second. All right, this is the last video. I just finished putting 5 scoops. You guys see that? 5 scoops of diatomaceous earth in the filter. We let all the air out. Had a thing back here where we let all the air out, and we filled it up with water. And as you guys can tell, the pressure gauge is back to 12 or just a little bit before noon, which is perfect. We're not seeing any leaks. I don't see any leaks. So I think we're in good shape. We got a working filter. We'll be prepared for next year's swimming, and it's better to do it now than to wait till later. All right, I can't say this was fun, but I'm glad it's over with. Take care, God bless. Having a pool is a whole lot of maintenance work.